I've been in many situations where it would have been logical to quit, but I continued. And if you are able to do that and do that with some positive energy and courage, I really believe that if you persevere, you win.
Isabel, I start all of my podcasts with the same question in order to set a certain narrative for the rest of the conversation. That question is, are you happy?
Yes. I would say 75% today.
Okay. What's causing the 25%?
I'm currently way more busy in work than I hope to be. And that means that when I'm so busy in work, the other parts of my life get very, very small. And you can either feel guilty or you just don't like that work takes up so much of, your daily life.
Mm-hmm.
And if that carries on for too long, that's a pity.
Do you think we should chase happiness?
Yes, 100%.
What, in your opinion, is then required to live a happy life?
I think a happy life comes from doing what you love, also experiencing the freedom to do what you love. So some people really feel like they work to live, in the sense that they go to work just to earn the money, to sit out the time, and then life starts again. But to me, happiness means that you are fulfilled in all the different parts of your life. And I think that is definitely something we should chase.
For this podcast, I have a research hypothesis. And that hypothesis is that passion gives purpose. What's your opinion on that?
I think I can totally agree with that. My work, job, company, whatever, came from my passion. And my passion started very young. I wasn't even really aware that it was going to be a passion, but I became vegetarian when I was 9, which is of course quite a young age to make such a decision, but somehow I made it. And that's actually led to a food blog and to start to inspire other people to eat vegetarian as well. And I really love the topic. I love food. I love to eat it. I love to talk about it. So I think there my passion gives a lot of purpose.
Do you recall where that stems from? Like your passion for food in general? Was there something that really kickstarted it, or did it just occur at some point?
Well, I do notice that my dad is a restaurant owner. So already from a young age, I was in the kitchen of his restaurants, but also he took me out for dinner because he liked to go out for dinner. And then as a child, he already took me to also some more fancy restaurants. So I really started to appreciate food at a young age. And also my mom also cooked at home a lot, like really proper meals. So for us, always the meal in the evening was really an important time of the day. So I think from a very young age, I gained the impression that food and sharing food has a lot of value.
Right. I'm going to go back in time a little bit because obviously this podcast is called The Quarter Life Crisis. And it's specifically focused on people in their 20s. So I'm quite curious how you would describe your 20s.
During my 20s, I think I really gained my feeling of passion and purpose that really flourished because after high school, I wanted to become an actor, or at least get into the acting school. And I tried year after year, and I got very close to being admitted, but it never worked out. So then in the end, I decided to go study Dutch culture and language, and it felt like my option B. But then when I started that study, I discovered I really enjoyed what I was doing. And then suddenly my work and my passion started to flow, and I saw that I was good at it, and I got opportunities for side jobs. And I really noticed the big difference between struggling for something I wanted and now actually doing something which I loved and was even good at. So and that continued. So then I, at the end of my studies, I started a food blog, which was more of a passion project, but it became a business quite soon. So I think my 20s really have felt like a very much like a flow, a very positive flow of energy, the feeling of using my energy and talent in the right ways.
Did the fact that passion, the blog in this case, eventually convert to a business at all affect your motivation to work on the business?
Well, what I did notice is that there is this sort of gray area when the blog really was 100% a passion, and then you start to earn money with it, and then that comes with some expectations. And in the beginning, it's nice because your work gets rewarded and gets valued, but then it also comes with a certain pressure. And then at some point you end up seeing the blog like a sort of factory that you should keep open and should produce content on every day, whether you like it or not, because now you have paying customers and you expect yourself to grow it and continue that growth. So I did notice that while I at first only did it for fun, it became work. So a bit two-faced there, but it's still very nice and very special to start something as a hobby, which turns out into a business. I mean, there are harder ways.
Yeah, certainly. And about the part of acting, because it to some extent resembles what I experienced, but then with music. And I'm quite curious, how do you recall the feelings you had at that time when acting wasn't working out? Like, and especially what made you eventually decide to just move forward and try something else? And at what point did it no longer feel like a quote unquote failure that didn't work out?
Yeah, I think it really was my passion from a young age to I didn't even look at the acting career, but mainly I wanted to be admitted to theater school, which is it's called here, because to me that was like, I don't know, that seemed to be my destination. So, well, my first audition was I saw it more as a sort of tryout. And then the second year, I really wanted to be admitted. And again, no, although I was very, very close. And then I went for the third year. And as soon as I got the no again in my inbox, I was like, I go again next year. And while I was planning to do that, I suddenly realized that the itch stopped. Right. So I became a bit older and started to rationalize also the career after. Like, I'm now so much in pain, struggling to get admitted to the school, let alone my life after, having to be admitted to every single future project. Like, this auditioning is not only once. It's not like life starts after theater school. I realized this is what I need to love to do auditions for so long. And maybe that's together with the feeling like my life was a bit on pause, waiting for this to happen. So I felt like, but maybe I can try something else.
Yeah.
And I always felt like I can always go back. I can always try again.
Yeah.
But I definitely at some point noticed very literally that the itch was gone. And I felt like it's okay to not want it anymore.
Did you still, in the years afterwards, do anything with that at all, or did it completely fizzle out?
To be honest, the last, I noticed myself in many things. I do it like 100% or not. And I somehow find that sometimes a waste, because I also had a lot of fun in acting. But I do notice, for example, for my job, I'm a lot on stages presenting stuff. keynote speaker, telling stories. So I do notice in my work also, for example, in sales conversations or something, that I am an easy talker. I know how to get the audience involved. So I do notice in my daily work a lot of things which I think come from the theater background.
Because at the moment, as I mentioned, obviously I stopped with music, and at times I'm so insanely busy with this that it's like trying to find the time to continue with the music, because it is something that's, just it is still there. Like very quickly, once you then sit behind the laptop, you get back into it. So trying to see if there's some way that I can continue doing that as a hobby, not with the seriousness that I did beforehand, but it's just also whether or not it's worth it. And I think that was what I was getting at in your case, that in order to make that business a success and translate that to myself in order to make this a success, whether or not it demands that 100%, or if there's like 90% and that 10% of like just messing around a little on the side is possible.
Yeah, I think, well, it depends. For me, it depends on what gives you the stress release or the joy next to your work, what you need. For me, that would not be playing theater. I rather go to sports or something. But if music can be, how do you say it, a steam pipe for you, then I think it's very, very much possible to continue doing it in a positive way without making it your life's purpose.
As far as steam outs go, one of the things that I actually came across you from is your road trip.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about that road trip. What did you end up doing, and what caused the trip as well?
So last year, August 2022, I left for 8 months sabbatical together with my boyfriend, and we traveled all the way from Alaska to the most southern point of Patagonia. We planned to do it all in a very old Volkswagen camper van, but that one broke down already after 2 months so badly that we realized we are now only in America. This car is not going to drive anywhere in Peru or whatever. So we decided to sell it there, and then continued our trip partly by bus, partly by train, and also for quite some parts by mountain bikes. We decided to, change our whole plan and go bikepacking. So with the bikes, we crossed all the way through Ecuador and all the way through Chile. So that was an amazing, amazing experience. And I think what caused it is the fact that ever since I launched the blog, The Hippe Vegetariër, which was September 2012, yes. So it exists now over 10 years. Ever since I've been working my ass off because of course, because I wanted to, but also because one thing led to the other. So the food blog became a business, became a cookbook, led to an international campaign, Week Without Meat, which led to me building a team, building a company. And I felt like, I don't know, that that work had been in the center of my life for so long, and I wanted to explore other parts of myself, also give a lot of attention to my relationship. So I really felt I needed a break. And when you have a company, you need to work long and hard to earn and gain that break. So it was planned for like 1.5 years. And then finally I was able to go.
Of all the destinations, which sticks with you the most?
I think there are 3, but if I need to choose one, Peru is definitely one of my favorite countries because of the combination of nature, because they have, of course, the Andes, but also the seaside, the desert. It's such a versatile country, and I love being in nature, but also the culture. You have beautiful cities there, like really lively, modern, and also the culinary world is amazing there, also for vegetarian food like myself. I was super, super enthusiastic about Peru.
Doing an experience like that, I could imagine demand or brings about a lot of new learnings about yourself. Was there anything from that process that you were like surprised and learned about yourself?
I think one thing, I live in the city center of Amsterdam, and that's something I really really love. But I also did notice that being in nature while being on a bike, but also hiking in Peru and stuff like that. Yeah, that really brings something for me as a person. Brings peace of mind. Brings also the wish, the will to live a more a sporty, healthy life. Just being in nature already gives that motivation, sort of. And when living in the city center of Amsterdam, although, for example, the sea is quite close, it feels like so far away. So I think me and my boyfriend are now looking into maybe moving a bit more into a rural area to be in nature and then go to the city instead of live in the city and go to nature, which we don't do as often as we should. So I think that is one, well, sort of major insight that really is now making a different life choice, sort of.
Knowing from that experience now, do you wish that sort of young Isabel would have done that sooner?
No, because I would not have been ready for it. And also I think like the city has given me so much. I also love to discover the culinary world. Amsterdam, of course, offers a lot of opportunities there. I love to be able to go outside, to have a beer next door. I love all the, now we say in Dutch, we say prikkels from the city.
Yeah.
So it's good that I think now...
Flair. That's
Sorry,
right. Flair, and all the flair that the city...
The flair of the city. That's a nice word. So I think I only now am ready to make the decision because I've had so much flair. I had my portion of flair.
You are the founder of Green Food Labs. What does Green Food Labs do?
Green Food Lab is a food consultancy and communications agency. And it's interesting you ask it now because we're actually sort of on the turn into... repositioning a little bit, but we came from my young grown passion with the aim to help companies, help brands with their more sustainable and more plant-based foods. We help them to communicate around it, promote it, activate it towards consumers. And we are still in that exact area. We are in the heart of food sustainability and communications, but due to the high demand of like plant-based products introductions, plant-based innovations, all those kind of things that we have been working on, we noticed that somehow we have been perceived as the agency that only does the plant-based stuff. So we are now repositioning a little bit into, hey, we're there for all food brands who are in transition towards a more sustainable world, whether they are working on food waste, on packaging, on plant-based foods, but we're there for the whole sustainability meets food topic.
For me, the reason why I called the podcast The Quarter Life Crisis is really this point in my life where I was done with my master, and all of a sudden there was like a million possible paths in front of me, contrary to what I originally expected, and that was, I'm done, now I'll know exactly what I want to do. Had no clue, right? Like I had a little bit of experience, but even within that field, it's like sustainability, restaurant, what do I want to do, blah, 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 blah. My question for you is, first of all, did you have a quarter life crisis? And if not, or no, let's start with that. Did you have a quarter life crisis?
Oh, no, I think I'm very lucky. I didn't have a quarter life crisis. Maybe I do feel like more at a point where I am now, I feel like I'm ready for a sort of next step, and I'm not sure what it is. So I wouldn't call it a crisis, but if there would be any sense of a sort of question crisis situation, it would be more now than back in my 20s, because I've been, well, very lucky that my path came to me, sort of.
Right.
But I do think, and it's easy for me to say because it happened to me, but that if you are open for it, that your path might present itself. And that's, of course, a very, I don't know, chewy thing to say. But for example, you often get like, you meet people, they say like, hey, I do this. Could that be interesting for you? And just if you try to have the yes mentality and think like, okay, I'm meeting you now, maybe it's for a reason. Let's go and discover that path. I always try to say yes a lot. And to me, I think that comes up to very interesting situations if you're not like trying to plan it and rationalize it, but just see where the flow takes you. When you meet people, when opportunities, chances come your way. For me, that is the way to find my path also in more difficult times.
Because then my follow-up question would indeed have been, do you have any advice for people who are in that similar situation to I was when it comes to choosing that path? But it sounds like based on that you would recommend they sort of almost take the path of least resistance or follow their heart, or?
Yeah, I don't think indeed, well, be very intuitive in choosing that path, and be aware of the options that are around you, that surround you, because I think your path it's not like you're now here and you're looking at a path that goes already for 5 years on. I always build my path stepping stone by stepping stone. So let's first do this, and probably it's not the 100% right choice, but then at least you have your next step and that learns you something, and then you meet someone again, or you come up in a situation and then you know you want to go left because you know now you don't like right, and then you're left, and then that way your path continues by seeing it as small little decisions time by time instead of one big life choice.
I'll get to the segment at the end of the show, but we have, and it's relatable to you, that's why I'm curious, a segment on the show where I collect community questions and you pick them from a jar and then read them out. And the one in 2 episodes ago was, what's your favorite food memory? Is there anything that comes to you in this situation as someone who obviously cares a lot about food?
One of my favorite food memories is with my dad. Like I said, he already took me for dinner when I was very, very young, like also to a fancy restaurant where he would have like a 3-course meal and a glass of wine. And I was just there with like 2 pillows in my chair, getting a pasta, which was not on the menu. But I always really liked those evenings. Those were the evenings where my mom had something to do and my dad was supposed to cook. And then this fancy restaurant allowed me to go into the kitchen and make my own dessert with all the professional chefs in their white clothes. And I have a lot of happy memories about those evenings. And we were just playing little games with pencil and paper, and it took hours sitting there. But I think that is one of my favorite food memories.
One of the other questions that's come back quite a lot by now is, and it relates to a lot of the time people instinctively know what they want to do, but just are scared because of the risk they might fail. So I'm curious if there was a time where you nearly quit and what made you keep going?
I think for Green Food Lab, the last year has been quite intense. We have been really in a good flow for the first 4 years. But ever since the Ukraine war, we notice our clients getting very careful, getting budgets cut down, and even plant-based companies going bankrupt. So we see our clients having big troubles, and that means also that, less of an attractive supplier. So it's very hard to see a company that you build up so carefully and that you put in all this energy and effort now make loss. and then you should really have the courage to continue building it, having faith that it will profit again, and also the feeling that will these upcoming years be the same as the first 4 years, because those were super heavy, and can I do that again, or how can I make it lighter for myself? I'm in general not a quitting type, so I think one of my life mottos is the one who perseveres wins, sort of. I really believe that, because I think in many things that I did, just continuing finding a solution, just continuing believing that that solution or the right path will come, has done a lot for me. Like with the Hippe Vegetariër, with the food blog, starting that up, building the audience, it was just patience. But also with the Week Without Meat campaign I started, I needed to find funds. It took me like a year to convince companies to give me like 5,000 euros. But some of them I emailed 10 times, I think. But the 11th time they said, all right, we received your mail and you can come and talk to us. So I've been in many situations where it would have been logical to quit, but I continued. And if you are able to do that, and do that with some positive energy and courage, I really believe that if you persevere, you win.
I'm smiling because this morning I had an interview with Michelle Scholte from True Pricing, and that particular process also with you, but that was more so right before I messaged you the first time right before you went on holiday, so that's why it took a bit longer. But with him, it was literally since October until like 3 weeks ago, messaging every 2 weeks. Can we do it? Can we do it? And luckily his secretary, Ellen, was very patient with me and could appreciate the hustle as a part to it, finding it annoying. But I feel like that skill of being able to both take the no, as in when they respond, and then say no, but also just like continuously hustling is super underrated.
Yeah.
Was there anywhere for you that skill really developed from, or is that just naturally in you that you were just refusing to take a no? Or
well, I think my parents learned me when I was really young that if I wanted something, that I always should go and ask. So that's, I think, step one. And then for the hustling, it's just that I just want an answer, whether it's yes or no. But I think it's only human and polite to give me an answer. So right. I find them rude when they don't give me an answer. So then I am happy to be a bit rude as well and continue asking.
Yeah.
So I feel like I'm not being rude or anything. I just want you to say yes or no. So how difficult can it be?
Yeah, because I remember when I started, and that was one of the things I'm most grateful for my first internship, that it was this fear of rejection, I guess, at first. And then at some point you get over that and realize it's not you they are rejecting, it's just the proposal that you have, so to speak.
Yeah.
We have the jar. They are filled with community questions. Needs a urgent refill. But I'd like you to take one, read it out, and then give your response to. Yeah, just one.
All right, I'll take one. Well, this one really wants me. It's from Irene Oruneso. How do I not let the fear of the unknown take over my thoughts? Ooh, I find this a really nice one. I'm not sure if I have a very concrete advice on how to not let it take over your thoughts, but I think from my experience, I can say that it might help when you discover how much rewarding the unknown is. Like, for example, my boyfriend, he is not really the traveling type. So for him, this travel was like an extreme big step. I could only look forward to everything. And I think he saw a lot of bears. But then discovering that the pleasure that it gives you, discoveries that you do, but also when things get difficult, that you can just ask for help. So I think one question you should always ask yourself is, what would be the worst that could happen? And maybe even make it concrete, write it down. And then you can think, all right, do I really experience these things as extremely bad? And do I already have a solution in place? If this happens, what would I do? And for example, with this world trip, if he would really have hated it, we could go back home. Would that feel like failure? Yes, but is it like onoverkomelijk? Is it impossible to survive that decision? No, it's fine. So I think if you get aware of the solutions that would be there in case of failure or in case of a risk or an unexpected situation, that will make it easier to make the choice. And then when you make more often these unknown decisions, I think you will discover a lot of pleasure in experiencing them, and that might make it worthwhile to do it more often.
More of a personal question. Me and my girlfriend are going on our own little van tour in the end of September. Not for as long, not 8 months, but only for a month. We go from Toulouse to Monaco, up to Turin, Geneva, and then over to Munich.
Wow.
Is there any advice to someone who, although it was a short part, had the van life where you're like, take that with, or make sure not to do this, or...
I really loved to camp out wild. Okay. But that's also something that's very suitable for example, America. But the van, you have your whole home with you. So personally, I planned out the route, but I did not plan out the campgrounds.
Right. Yeah.
So I think the big advantage of living in a van is that you have full freedom. So I would say try to cherish that.
Yeah.
And not do as if it would be a hotel trip. Right. Just drive and see where you are happy to camp out, whether it's a campground or next to a nice river. Sometimes take the unexpected road. I think that is very important. And I personally also really loved like the whole cooking and family homey thingy that you can do in that camper. It saves money, but also it's so nice to be in your own little house. Yeah. You will enjoy it so much.
Yeah. We are doing it with our 2-month-old baby as well.
Wow.
So it's going to be quite a challenge. But it's like it's a little test for us before we potentially scale up to a caravan and do it full time.
Yeah.
To see, does this even work, especially with a baby, because if we don't, then there's no point in buying a caravan, right? If we only, so I'm very excited to see whether or not that works. I have, however, arrived at my last question already. And that question is, what does the future hold for Isabel?
Like I said, I hope to move to a bit more rural area. And funny thing to add is that I'm trying to do that together with 3 of our parents. We're trying to find a sort of family generation elderly house.
Okay.
Where they can grow old. So that's.
You mean then your parents and your partners, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's a sort of big dream, and I hope together with that step there will be dogs. And also I then hope that the new situation allows me to build a new relationship with my business and prioritize my private life and my personal health and well-being as much as the health and well-being of the business. Mm-hmm. So it's really my goal to scale down my day-to-day involvement here in the next year, and look for a better balance between the different elements in life.
Thank you so much for your time. It was a lovely chatting to you.
Thank you.
And I hope you enjoyed it as well.
I thought you had a lot of interesting questions.
Good. Happy to hear that. Thank you so much.
Thank you too.